Ott is csekkolok egy audio-videó dolgot, és akkor utána indultunk. Ez így működik. Jó. Kötelre megy. Kötelre megy. Mondj kérlek szépen valamit. Kötelre megy.
Még valamit mondok.
Mondj kérlek szépen.
Eltűnik a hangom?
Nem, most jó.
Még valamit mondok. Jó.
Most jónak tűnik a dolog. Esetleg alakulna, akkor hangosítok, de tudod, hogy minden este inkább hangosítok rajtad, és akkor biztos alapon felvettelek 150-re, és akkor szerintem így már jó lesz a dolog. Oké. Jó. Visszaülök a eredeti pozíciómban most már akkor. És akkor szóval csak kezdhetünk. Let me know if we can start. Okay, so welcome everyone in the very new episode of my Dev Live show. Today I'm joined with Katalin Rábel, aka Tenshiko, who is the creator of the point-and-click adventure game called Behind the Beyond. First of all, I would like to say that I'm very thankful and very honored that you joined us for today's episode. And like I'm always saying, let's start with a little bit of introduction. So please introduce yourself for us.
So, hi everyone. Katalin, just call me Kate. If Katalin is too complicated, that's how I go in English. Kate.
True.
So I'm a game developer, let's say. So the first thing that I like to say is I do a lot of things. And when I say a lot, I do mean a lot. So I come from sort of a business software area and moved into video games a couple of years ago, started doing my own thing. But I'm doing the game dev thing. I've started a bakery last year, and I have 2 children, so I am also a mom. We moved into a new house which needed fixing up, so I'm also a constructor now, and painter and decorator, so I do a lot of things.
I see. So really a lot of hats, not just in game development, but in other territories of your own life. I see. Thank you for that introduction. So like my always very first question in every episode of my every Dev Live show will be still the same here as well. What was your very first contact with video games as a player, if you remember those times of your past?
As a player, so my very first contact with video games was when I was about, say, 5 years old.
Okay.
And so my dad is a gamer, is definitely a gamer. Well, he's an oldie, but still a gamer. And he had a ZX Spectrum computer at home. You know, it's the really old one where you had to so he had it's the one that you need to put your data on magnetic tapes, like the cassettes, the old ones. And he had like this tiny portable cassette player, and it was really, really cool. And it had he had 8 colors or maybe 16. I'm not sure about 16, maybe 8. That sounds more appropriate. But and he used it for work, I think, maybe, but it was a million years ago, so I don't remember that part that well. But he also had a lot of games. And he was playing a lot of one of this, it was a space shooter type game where you had to you controlled a little, it was like a triangle. So it's nothing too graphically wasn't too complicated. So you had your spaceship was like a little triangle. You can go up, down, and maneuver around obstacles, and there were enemies shooting at you. You could shoot the enemy, and I was watching him playing that. And the first one that I actually played was on the same type of computer. It was called PSST.
Okay.
PSSST.
Okay.
And it was about, so you were a gardener, and you had to grow I think it was a sunflower.
Okay.
And you had like, so the first you, I think you had to just water the plant, and it would every once and again it would
First
just grow
cozy
a
games,
little.
you could say.
Yeah, it would grow a little, then it would grow a little leaf, and then another leaf, and another one, and then you finished if you could get the flower, get it to actually flower. And the difficulty was that there were some insects coming in and eat the plant, eat the leaves of the plant, and if it then didn't have any leaves, then it would eat the stalk. And you had different types of pesticides that you could pick up and spray the bugs so that they don't eat the flowers. So that was the first game that I think I ever played, first video game.
Nice. Thank you for those memories sharing with us. From that point of your life, by the way, what was that light bulb moment in your head, that tick in your head when you realized that, hey, I love playing video games, but I also would like to work on video games and create my own games, let's say? What was that very first light bulb moment in your head? If you remember,
Well,
of course.
Again, it's a little complicated.
Okay.
How much time do you have?
I do have all the time in the world. It depends on you, right? So it's always my guest sign.
So it's kind of a long story, because like I always played a lot of video games. My parents didn't really like that I spent so much time on playing video games, but I have a brother, so we had like all sorts of we had a console that was, I think it was a Chinese knockoff of the Sega Mega Drive. It looked like the Mega Drive, but it wasn't. It was a Chinese knockoff, and it was playing Mario. So you could like get these cartridges, like the yellow cartridges that you could put in, and then it had like the most random games. And I think by default it had like Mario and what's the one, Duck Hunt, and these classic like Nintendo games, or at least the knockoff. And so we spent ages. We spent whole summers with my brother and my cousins playing the silly games. And then there was a lot of games. Growing up, there was always something that we were playing. And sometimes, like I said, my dad is also a gamer, so we watched him play Half-Life and a bunch of racing games. Like I don't know, he's really into Forza now, but we did Need for Speed. So all the classics.
Nice.
Growing up. And I think the first time that I thought that, I'd like to make a game myself, was around the time I played Black and White. So, and what I really liked in the game, so it was, just in case someone doesn't know the game, it was the thing that really spoke to me. So the game was about, you were a god, and you had to you had followers that they had little problems that they need solving, and they would come to you and ask for your help. And then you had, as the game progressed, you had rival gods who were trying to take over your villages and followers and stuff. And there was a whole story. Like you had to get like a little pet animal. It was a giant you could pick from I think it was a lion or a cow or a bear, if I remember correctly. And there were a couple of other, like you could change the skin later on or swap your animal for something else. But there was a monk. There's also an ape. I don't remember, but it's, so the thing is that you had this animal, like a giant animal, and it was your pet, and you could teach it to do stuff. Like if he was doing something bad, then you had to slap him so he wouldn't do it again. And if he was doing something good, then you could scratch him or stroke him, and then he would know that, okay, this is a good thing, and he would keep on repeating doing that stuff. And essentially, if you train your animal or your pet right, then he would just go off and do the stuff that you wanted him to do on his own. And I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. This game was like the first, oh my god, moment. Like, wow, okay, this is so cool. And I love the story as well. Spoiler alert, if someone wants to play the game for the story, around the third level or third stage of the game, so you already sort of, a lot of stuff. You've bonded with your little pet and everything. Now you have your enemies, you have your friend, your enemy, god enemy, and a god friend. And at the end of, I think it was the third level, your nemesis, who is called Nemesis, by the way, is taking away your pet and you cannot do anything. And I was like, when I got to that point, I was like, no, I was screaming to the monitor, like, no, you can't take him away.
It was
We
immersive
spent
for
so
you,
much
right?
time together. Yeah. So it was amazing. And that was, I think, the first time that I had this thought that, okay, this is amazing. I want to do stuff like that because this is a really cool experience to have as a gamer. And so at that time I was in high school, sort of towards the end of high school. So I picked what do you call it? How do you call them in English? Like you had to GCSEs in the UK, maybe. So you had to pick a couple of subjects that you would have a final exam at the end of high school or secondary school, and then based on those
majors, maybe majors or something like that.
Majors, it depends on. I think it's a little different in different countries, so it's hard to like find an exact version for that. But anyway, so the thing is that based on those subjects, you would get points to and would get accepted to university or not.
I see.
And so that's when I decided. So the first one when I applied to university, I had two options or two entries in my application. One was to University of Filmmaking.
Okay.
Because I was really into like making videos and films and stuff. So I did that as well during high school. And then the second one was Technical University of Budapest. So that was the two things. The first option was film because it's extremely hard to get into. And the second choice was programming and to make games. And then I don't know if there are any game devs or programmers in the chat. You might have seen that meme where there's like someone is trying to solve like a really complicated like equation, and I think the text goes something like, what the fuck is this thing? I just wanted to learn how to make games. I did not sign up for this thing. I just want to make games.
True.
I've had that experience.
Yeah, I can relate to that, by the way, at university studies of my life. Yeah.
But so I finished the bachelor's, and then went on to master's, and then I said, okay, no, that's enough. that's way too much for me. Let's go and work. And the thing is that by the time, so sort of when I started university, there were still a couple of like big game dev companies in Hungary. So by the way, I'm from Hungary. I think I haven't said that before, but I live in the UK now, but I lived in Hungary, grew up in Hungary. So by the time I went to university and started to learn programming at all, because I haven't had any like sort of any education on programming before university, there were still a couple of like the big names that some of the Hungarian gamers might remember, like Digital Reality and the sorts. And so by the time I finished and I could go, okay, now I can look for a job in game dev, all of the big companies that I knew of and made a lot of games that I even played when I was growing up, they all closed down. And so I was like, okay, well then it's business software, I guess, because we already had like, we were involved in a bunch of projects during university, and my friend is working there and they're offering me a job and this is kind of fun. I've done a couple of like related stuff. So I started working in business software and then slowly abandoned the idea of making games altogether. And after that, so life happened. We ended up moving to the UK and still in business software. And then when I met my now husband, who had been working for the big names even in Hungary. So he did used to work on some of those studios. And when we met, he just left Lionhead.
Okay.
who's the developer of Black and White. So I was like, oh my god, you work at Lionhead? Like
the motivation,
so,
childhood motivation, yeah.
Yeah. So it was like kind of like meeting, it's like some not meeting your idols, but like it was an oh my god moment. Like
True.
you work for the company which made one of my favorite games. Like, oh my god, tell me more. And so basically he was the one who sort of nudged me back towards video games, because that's what I wanted to do originally.
Sure,
that's why I
sure.
set out to university and learn programming and all the it's fun, and sometimes I like a challenge, so it could be exciting and fun to work on like silly stuff like websites, and like I worked on auction sites, which was a fun challenge because auctions, it's like they have these sort of problems and constructs that you need to really make sure that everything is in the right place and it works correctly and it works for a lot of people at the same time. So it's all fun, and yeah, but it's not video games.
True. It's not that creative, I guess we could say so. Yeah.
Yeah.
See. What stopped you, by the way, from like going into game dev earlier? Because you mentioned that it was a lot of years that you haven't started game dev, but when you met your husband.
I think one of the things was that at university, when we got to the subjects that would bring us closer to the game dev side, like graphics programming and such, it was such a bad experience that it deterred me a little.
I can relate to that too.
From video games, but it's not like it's. I don't know. Somehow, to me at least, if I need to learn something because it's cool, because it's an exam, and then I need to do it to get a grade, but I really don't want to do it, or there's no point. I don't see the point other than getting a good grade. It's not that fun.
I see.
But if you have sort of like, okay, so I'm going to make this game. So to make this game, I need to learn how to do this thing. It's much more motivating, I think.
I see.
And it's much more fun. So I ended up like, I remember that I was trying. It was notoriously hard to pass the graphics programming term or class. And I remember that when I always set out starting the term like, okay, this time I'm going to sit and I'm going to listen, I'm going to understand everything, and I'm going to do all the homework, and I'm going to do everything. It's going to be perfect. I'm going to do everything, literally everything. And it's always like, I don't know, 2 or 3 classes in, like, what the fuck is this? Like, oh my god, why is it so complicated?
Especially Hungarian universities, yeah. And IT, yeah.
Yeah, so and in the end, because they had this system, so you either had to like pass all the exams during the year or during the term, or you could at the end of the term turn in basically a project or paper which sort of overarched the whole subject of the term, and then you presented it to the teacher or the assistants, and then explained, okay, this is how I did this, here's the code, and shown them everything that you've done. You could get away with not doing the exams and all the small small homework projects and whatever. So I remember that one of the first ever like there was like 4 like homework tasks that we had to do during the term, and like the first one was, okay, you need to, I think it was OpenGL or something.
Okay.
Yeah, it was OpenGL, and then the task was, okay, here's a cube. Okay, you're looking into a cube, like a room, and you need to like put a sphere in the middle or something. So it was like very basic stuff. And I remember that even my mom, who's a math and chemistry teacher, my mom and I were both of us sitting in front of my computer trying to figure out, like, I had the 2 sides. I had the the floor and the ceiling, but somehow the back just wouldn't line up, and we spent a whole entire weekend, my mom and I, trying to like calculate, okay, why is this not showing up the way it's supposed to show up? And that's when I said, okay, I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna do the small homeworks, because it's not worth my time.
True. Yeah, I remember myself studying at IT programming, and I remember that we had similar tasks where we had to like move a cube and change colors based on inputs like numbers, and it was so boring. Like it was like, I don't know. And also I feel like, especially here in Hungary, most studies due to like IT, they are like based on very old books, which on one hand is good, but on other hand they are not practical enough to get you into game dev or into even a good job, right? Place. So it's weird, but they are starting to change that. They realize that, but it took them 10 years. Come on, 10 years. Like why? Or even more. So it's crazy, right? So it's like taking away people's creativity and then motivation is like killing the whole system. Moving to a more personal type of question, were your parents, family members, and close friends supportive about this decision that you wanted to make video games and you actually started to make your own games?
Well, they didn't really have much choice or have much say. But so I started moving into video games when I was already living in the UK. So I was on my own. I had my own, my money, my place to live, and everything. And then sort of we sort of came to the decision together with my now husband that I would do this. And he was always supportive of me. And he said, so basically he's funding me making a video game, or starting this video game project on my own, because because we had to talk about finances and everything. Like, how would it work out? It's not a fun part, but it has to be done.
True.
So he's funding the development of this game at this point, and me learning to do all this stuff, because you have to, like, I don't know if you want to talk about this later, but I do get asked a lot, when's the game gonna be finished? And it's always like, well, I plan to do it like this time and that time, and there's always something that comes up, and then it's got pushed for a later point. But you have to understand that with this, so I am not like I am an experienced programmer, but I'm not an experienced game developer. So I had to learn a lot of things. In a lot of sense, I was a junior when I started working on my first game. And it wasn't even behind the beyond. So I had to learn how to make games in Unity, because I've never done that before. I worked with the previous system like XNA that was Unity was sort of built based on that, like in the olden days. But so I had some connection, but I had to learn all these things. I had to learn like how to project manage a game dev project, which is slightly different to like the business software things that people might do. And so I had to learn how to animate. I had to learn how to, and it's now I'm at a place where I can say, okay, maybe I am a senior in many of those things, but I had to learn all these things, and it does take time. And sometimes sometimes I go in the wrong direction, and then I realize that I have gone in the wrong direction. It's not going to work, and I have to backtrack and redo some things, and that takes up a lot of time. But it's not like, probably if it was like a well-oiled machine and like a more experienced game dev studio, it would have taken less time to get to the point where I am now. But I had to start from almost zero and get there. So it's a lot of time.
True. Yeah, and that's why I say that people nowadays, especially from players' perspective and media perspective, can be too judgy when it comes to judge a developer if they are not communicating enough informations or they are not fast enough, let's say, with the release date or releasing a game, because they do not understand. Like I'm always saying, it's human beings at the end of the day who make games, right? It's not just a click that you click and the game is done. So people have to understand this, that there might be some life problems, or like you said, you have to learn from scratch and you have to go through over those process in order to make a very polished and good game. So yeah, people have to understand it. Do you feel like it's important, by the way, for you to have this mentally supportive background in your life and also financially supportive background? Have you done it anyway if it wasn't in your life?
I probably would have done it, but I would have done it differently.
Okay.
So, for example, I did run a Kickstarter campaign like a couple of years ago for Behind the Beyond, but it wasn't successful. So I didn't hit the goal that I set. So it wasn't, and because I realized that it took up a lot of time of me to just focus on the campaign itself, which I could have used for developing the game instead. And I didn't actually need the money because, like I said, my husband could technically fund the whole project. But the thing is that if I go, so I had that option, but the option is that if we go that way and not get the money from Kickstarter, then I would have to do everything because we don't have money to hire new people, and so I will have to do everything, and obviously that's gonna take more time.
True.
And so, because I thought that it's because it's an option, and I felt exhausted by all the work that was going into the Kickstarter, which wasn't successful. I thought, okay, let's not do this because it's taking too much time and too much resources from me, and I don't actually need it. So let's just go ahead and finish it as it is, and then for the next project, maybe we'll do it differently. But if like I still would have, like if we didn't have the option for my husband to support me financially, I would have had to like either find a publisher or have another go at Kickstarter or something. But I still would have done it, or would have tried at least.
I see. When was the first time when the idea of this game that you're working on now came into your head, by the way? And what influenced this game?
It was a million years ago. I think it's like nearly 10 years ago now, and we had the first version or the first idea. I think it was like 2016 maybe, or 17. So nearly there. I do remember that the first version, it was before we got married. So yeah, it was 16, I think 2016. So we entered a game jam with my husband and one of his friends who's an artist in game dev, and so this was just for fun because we wanted to. I was working on another game, like a different idea, but I was sort of learning how to deal with Unity and everything, and we thought that entering game jams would help because game jams are fairly quick, so we could just try out a couple of things without having to invest a lot of time into going in the wrong direction, if that makes sense. And then so we entered a couple of game jams and then tried a couple of things, and then one of the game jams that we entered was Adventure Jam.
Okay.
And so we basically just had to make any type of adventure game, and we both like the classic adventure games. So we said, okay, it sounds fun, so why not? And we were thinking about, okay, but how are we going to? There's like 200 or 300 people entering this competition. So how can we make something unique or something that people haven't seen before? But it also works as an adventure game, so that's why we came to like Hungarian folktales thematic, because because we thought, okay, well, it's quite. And if you think about, so first of all, the stories are or might be unique that people haven't seen yet because it's more known around like Hungary, maybe Poland, and sort of like Eastern European area, but not in like the Western countries. So the stories might be something new. And also we thought of the cartoon series of the same title, which we both grew up, like the husband and I both grew up watching, so we know, and it has like quite a distinctive and unique art style, which is like really it's captivating, it's striking, it's very bold and sometimes borderline psychedelic. So it's like we thought that okay, that might stand out from the crowd, and basically we just sort of like, okay, well, let's write a folktale, Hungarian folktale, then, and then sort of try to imitate or like sort of go in that visual direction. But because but we wanted to try to keep it more digestible. So it's sort of like a mix of this kind of like 2D, like LucasArts, like kind of funny, witty, like breaking the fourth wall type thing, but also going into this psychedelic, like weird 2D animated style. So it's a mix.
I see.
Of these two.
I see.
And yeah, but it so the base that we have, the base of the story is still there from the game jam, but it looks completely different. It's like, oh my god.
It's 10 years, so it had to be different, right? So
yeah. So sometimes I come across some of the images that we used for like concept art, and then a couple of like assets that we used for the game jam version, and it's like I'm looking at it, it's like, oh my god, look at where we are now compared to that, because we had like 2 weeks to get the whole game together, and then including the story, everything. So we wrote our own sort of scripting framework, but we used one for the game jam, and then because it didn't have like some of the options that we wanted to do in the game, we said, okay, well, we can write one for ourselves, and then we did, because yeah, that's every programmer has that moment that I can do this better. Let's just write a completely new.
They realize that it's way harder, right, and way more problems.
Yeah. Because that takes less time. No. Yeah, but we did. It's still there, so that is working. So yeah, but it's a completely different game now.
I see. What could be the reason, by the way, that you mentioned, and it's very true, that it's very rare to see Hungarian folk tales included in video games, even if it's from Hungarian developers, even if it's from other country developers or other developers from other countries?
I don't know. I think like I have seen a couple of projects from like Hungarian developers trying to integrate Hungarian folk tales, and I have seen like Polish developers do the same with their sort of folk tales. And so I think like regionally there are some developers trying to use their sort of like cultural heritage in some of those games, but I think I don't know. I think that it's not in the mainstream because it's not in Hollywood or like not in the Western, like the big names don't really, except for maybe The Witcher, which is like it does like I have actually, because I've came across a couple of things. Like I was researching a lot of like the mythical creatures and stuff in Hungarian folklore, and it was like reading the monster manual in Witcher. It's like, oh, I know this one. It was in the game. It's like I haven't heard about the monsters like from my grandma, or like but I recognize the monster based on the description. It's like, hey, it sounds like a necker. Hey, it sounds like a drowner. It's it was in the game.
Yeah, and it's interesting to know that there are connections between different countries and their folklores, right? They're common.
Yeah, there's definitely an influence.
Yeah.
So it maybe it will make a bigger like impact.
Yeah, because in
now
my
that
opinion,
the Witcher
it's
game is coming up
true,
and
true,
everything.
true.
So
Yeah, because in my opinion, it's sad that people forget about their cultural heritage, like you mentioned, and I think in the future we would need those heritage in our life and folk tales to consume and to talk or tell to our children or kids or grandsons or granddaughters.
yeah. And if I can, I might anger some people, but if I might say a hot take, like I am, instead of seeing all these remakes and live action Disney movies and seeing the same stuff over and over and over again, just with different characters, instead of that, I would love to see like original stories.
True.
Like
True.
not okay, this is the thing that we've seen
True.
before, but now we do the same thing but with different characters.
True.
Or we put this thing in a slightly different setting. It's like, okay, we've seen that already. Give us something new, give us something else. I want to know, like original, like folklorish stuff. If it's about like
but I feel like it's the it became mainstream to make remakes and remasters because like people are way for people it's easier to connect with old school tales that they already knew, right? So for them they will surely buy the tickets when going to the cinema if they knew the character, for example Sonic or Shrek or any of those characters which their parents maybe were growing up with. So I feel like that's why they choose this option to use those already made up characters.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a money machine.
Yeah, true. It's true for video games as well. When, for example, Marvel Rivals came out, people argued about it that like if it wasn't for Marvel and its characters, the game might end up be like a flop totally, and people might not be playing that much with Marvel Rivals because it's new characters, right? But since it's Marvel, people play it because they like Spider-Man, they like all the characters from Marvel. So yeah,
but I hope that people will realize it and not in time realize it and not pay more money just because this is we know this now, this is the safe bet, so let's watch this with the kids instead of like going and watching something that we haven't seen before.
Very true. What was your favorite moment, by the way, of process, actually the process itself of making your own games throughout all those years? Or if there are more favorite moments of the process itself.
My favorite moment is when I make something, I program something and I test it and it works for the first time. That's the best.
Is it common or is it rare? Or is it in the middle?
It's sometimes it happens, but it's like, I think it's the best moment is when you've been working on something, you haven't seen it actually work, and then you try it and you get there and you see it and it's the thing, it works and it's beautiful.
True. Okay. What about the most challenging parts of the process of making games?
Well,
or the ones that you don't like?
I think, well, because I couldn't pick like one favorite and one least favorite.
Okay.
Because
you can tell more.
Like, I do a lot of, again, I do a lot of stuff in terms of game dev as well, because I am a solo dev. I sometimes work together with other people, like I do buy concept art from artists, and I buy like the music for the game. And sometimes, because for the life of me I cannot convince myself to sit down and learn how to write shaders, I ask my husband, because he knows how to do them. Like, you can do this in 5 minutes. I would have to spend like a week or maybe 2 weeks to get this right, so you do it. I know, I have enough on my plate. I don't want to add more. So there's a lot. I know there's like, obviously, like if I am a programmer, obviously, like hunting down bugs is the worst, especially the ones like, this only happens on Mac and on that specific version. Like, okay, I don't have a Mac and I can't see it. Like, it's not happening for me. I don't know what's going on. All I can do is like guess. Maybe this will fix it. Did it fix it? I don't know. and it's, even though, like, I understand that from their point of view, they have that machine and it's not working, or it's it might be annoying for them, so I understand that, but I don't have like the resources to go and hunt down all these bugs. And it's like annoying because I want to do it. Like, it's not like I'm lazy and don't want to do it.
It will be a forever task to do.
But
yeah.
But like, yeah, and there's the ones that don't always happen, and you spend hours trying to, like, okay, why the hell is this happening? Is this the reason? No. Is the oh no, and it's the other worst one is that the bugs that only happen when you don't have the debugger attached, because then it's like, how are you going to get to the bottom of this? But eventually, you usually will. But yeah. Yeah, I think those are overall the worst bits.
I see.
Like, everything else is like, okay, you need to get the artwork done, you need to get the things. Like, obviously there's like similar struggles with art as well, because I do both programming and art mostly. So sometimes, because I am not as experienced as an artist, maybe sometimes things just don't come out as I wanted them to come out, and then I could spend a lot of time like fixing little things, or I don't like the color or change stuff around, and it's like, it's still not the vision that I have in my mind. It doesn't look like that, so how can we make this better? And so these things can be annoying, but eventually you'll get over it, and then it's gonna be fine, and then it's gonna work, and then that's the best thing. And then you put it together, and then it works, and it's like, it looks pretty, and it's working, and it's all there.
That's satisfying moments in life.
Yeah.
Very true. How do you balance, by the way, since you mentioned having a vision about your game, how do you balance sticking to your vision but also still listening to the player's perspective and opinion, or the feedback that they give you?
There wasn't that much to be balanced at this point. I think there were a couple of, like, mostly the sometimes, so I do listen to feedback, obviously, but like most of the time it's like, so if they say that, okay, this puzzle wasn't obvious, or I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing here, then I know, okay, so now you need more hints, and I can say, okay, I knew what I wanted to, like, I know what is the solution to the puzzle, but maybe I didn't give enough hints to you so that you could realize. So then I can try to try to adjust the puzzle so it's not necessarily to make it easier, because sometimes I want puzzles to be hard to solve, but it needs to be fair. So if you don't have any hints, like what to do, just clicking around randomly, then it's not fun, and it's not really solving a puzzle. So you need to get some sort of hint as to how to solve the puzzle. So things like that. And the other thing is that sometimes I think it's very common in point and click adventure games that the devs don't think of solutions that are right there and other people realize, like, okay, I need to break the glass. I have this very heavy object. I can break the glass with the heavy object, but the programmers wanted me to get like an X and use the X on the window or the glass to break it, and not the heavy object that I already have. So it's things like that the players pick up, and it could be a valid feedback or a valid solution to a puzzle. But it's just that the devs didn't think about it.
Yeah, but sometimes it's connected to the plot, in my opinion. And there are some funny moments about the objects that you can pick up.
Yeah, well, if it's intentional, or if there's comedic value in it, that's fine, I think. But it's sometimes it's like, I got some feedback on, like, why can't I just do this? And it's like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. So why not? Okay, let's add that. It does make sense, so why not?
I see.
It's not too hard to do, because obviously you have to draw a line somewhere, because then otherwise a game would never be finished if you wanted to do everything that's in the feedback. But if it's crucial to the gameplay, like if it makes the game unenjoyable then it definitely needs changing. And if it's like something really easy, then I don't mind doing like, sure, it costs like an hour or half an hour to make it, and then why not?
True.
If it makes it easier for people, why not do it?
I see. Speaking of, by the way, of puzzles that you mentioned, what was the original goal with the puzzles as for their difficulty settings?
Sorry, what was
So what was the goal with the difficulty settings of the puzzles in your game? Since you mentioned having puzzles in your game, and it's point and click.
Well, it's mostly the variety. So it's not some. So some puzzles are easy, like you see a bucket, you see a well. Well, I just gonna draw some water from the well because there's a bucket and there's a well. Why not do it? It makes sense because it's right there. But then you can't have everything as simple as that, because then it's gonna be too. If it's too easy, there's no challenge in the game. So I personally like if the puzzles pose a little challenge, so it's not like, okay, yeah, that's the thing that you need to do.
Okay. Going back to a more personal topic and their questions as well. I believe in this statement, by the way, that all of us creators who create our own craft, we tend to put our inner self into the craft we make. Even it's about experiencing loss, love, positive or negative things in our life. Is this statement of mine true for your work when you work on your video games? And if your answer is yes, what examples could you bring us to the table? What examples could you name?
Definitely, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So, like I said, I grew up watching the Hungarian fairy or folk tales cartoons. So there's the visual style. Definitely, there's an influence, but also because I explained this to someone. Like, I want the game to feel like, to bring back those memories when I spent the summers at our grandparents' house, for example. So it needs to be like, the basic setting is definitely in summer. There needs to be like, I want to include as much detail in the artwork and even in the story as much as I can. Like, for example, like if you go into the tavern in Behind the Beyond, there's gonna be like a bunch of like plates on the wall. It's exactly like in my grandma's house. Or the little, like the tapestries on the wall is going to be, there's going to be like the little the corn cob shaped like little glasses, like the ceramic like cups, and then the jug and everything. Is like, I want this to, like, if you grew up in Hungary and you had like grandparents who lived in the countryside maybe, and you spent a couple of weeks at their house during the summer, or if you've been like even just on a school trip or whatever, and you've been to here and there and see, oh, okay, you're gonna recognize those things. You're gonna recognize the things on the wall, the little houses, the fences, the everything. It's gonna. I want the game to like reflect all of this feeling. Yeah, that's mainly.
That's lovely, by the way. That's a very nice touch to your game, because I appreciate it since it's relating to our childhood as Hungarians as well as our childhood in general as well.
Yeah, that's the aim, is to be relatable.
True, very true.
These things, yeah.
Very true. Staying in the field of personal topics and questions, how have you changed as a person in other territories of your own life from being a game developer for so many years? If there were, of course, any changes.
You mean in personality, or
like in work or in other territories of your own life? In any territory which is not game dev, from being a game developer. So how or which kind of effects did it have to your on your personal life?
I think,
if there were any, of course.
I think that I might be a little more confident in myself. I know it's judging by this sentence, it doesn't feel like I'm very confident. Like, I might be
and then you think back, if it's true, it's not.
Yeah, no, it's like definitely when I started, it was like I had no idea what I was doing.
I see.
I was trying. go this way and that way, and then listen to a couple of people who were doing. One was saying this, the other was saying that, and I sort of like, okay, I don't know anything. You probably know something, or at least more. You know more about game dev than I do. So I listened to like all these different
voices,
advice and the different aspects of game dev, and I haven't really found my voice, if that makes much sense. And then I think, as I've learned, like I said, I started out as a junior. Like, if you start any job, like any job really, from the first day, you're like, on the first day you don't know shit. And then you learn, and then you become, you know, more confident, and you know the processes, you know how it goes, you probably have more insight of how things are going to be affected. And yeah, I think it's just a little more confidence in that type of thing.
What about physical editions? I believe that, especially for point-and-click adventure games, physical editions were always important, and even till this day, it is important to see those games on the shelf, right? Are you planning to have any physical edition for your game? Even with those big boxes like adventure games?
Yeah, I know that many people do that. I haven't thought of that. I haven't thought of it that far.
Okay.
Because, like, I had a couple of things that just in the back of my mind that could be like merch stuff that people could buy, like not get like the big box of the game or anything. Like, I haven't, like, I might do. I don't know. I don't have any plans for it at the moment. But that's not saying no. It's just that I have finite amount of resources and brain power, and so it's just not in the focus at the moment.
I see.
But not saying no.
I see. Also, a very important question to ask is that, are you going to release your game to other platforms as well, or just PC at the moment?
I mean, I hope that I will. Like, again, because it's so much, like, you cannot imagine it's so much work. Like, imagine a small game, like, just with a small company, you've got programmers to program stuff, you've got artists to make stuff, you've got audio people to make music, you've got a project manager, because now already have you 3 people working at that, you've got the marketing people, you've got, what else you've got like maybe a community, like social media person. You might need even more artists, depending on how many or how much art and assets your game needs and everything else. And then you've got play testers and all the rest now. So you've got like 5 to 8 different types of people working in a small company on a game. Now I am doing all of that. So basically, if you have like just if you can think about the amount of work that goes into a game, like imagine like 5 people working on a game for a year, or like let's say a year. And if you have one person doing it, that's 5 years. So it's like it would be, and so finishing the game for PC is like the first step or the first thing. And then if you want to like add more like ports to different platforms and everything, that comes after. So for me to think about like the different platforms is like, okay, but we need to finish the game first in any way or shape and form, and then we can deal with or even think about how we're gonna. So I'm sort of thinking about it in a way that, okay, I want to keep this open, but obviously like a couple of changes need to be done for it to be able to like go to consoles and stuff.
True, understandable.
It's based in Unity, so it's not impossible, and it shouldn't be too much work. It's just the controls that need to be like, because now it's mouse and keyboard, and it needs to be like touch friendly and controller friendly and blah blah blah. So we need to figure that out if we ever get to that point. But like, luckily, well, it should be easy. Like it never is, but on paper it should be easy to just like, okay, done. PC, I don't know, Switch, Xbox, whatever, and it should be easy. Like, yeah. So it's there. The option is there. I can't say that if and when it's going to happen, but the option is there.
I see. Speaking of, by the way, that mostly you worked alone on this game. What was the reason behind this decision of yours that you like never expanded your team, let's say, and you stayed solo dev? Just sometimes you hired some people for some contracts work, but not more.
Yeah, but first, there's a number of things. So first of all, that a few of the, but actually most of the people that I worked with on this project are not from the UK. So I am self-employed in the UK. That's easy for me to do taxes and stuff. And if I work with other people from other countries, and they also just, based on contracts, then I pay them X amount, and that's done, and it's easy to deal with from the tax point of view.
I see.
And if I wanted to like have permanent people working together, or people working to working for me permanently, then I would have to like start a company, blah blah blah, and that's more expenses, because then I would probably, like, at the moment I am dealing with my own tax return stuff, because I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's easy enough so that I can handle it on my own while doing my job and everything else. So it's not taking away that much time from doing my other jobs. But then if I wanted to start a company, I would probably need to hire like an accountant who would deal with all the money stuff, and then it would just get all more and more complicated. And then if we like, I could go down this route if I wanted to, or if I had another Kickstarter, for example, or if I found a publisher, and then they would just give me the money, and then I can, hire people and then deal with everything. And so it's just, at the moment, it was easier if I do what I can, and then what I can't, I just hire people to on a contract base, like the concept art and stuff. And the other thing is because when we started working on this game, I didn't really have like, there wasn't that much need for more people. Like I worked together for a long time with an artist, and then another artist, and then another artist, and so it was fine. It's just for the two of us, because we didn't have to deal with music and everything else. And then because it was basically just me who was the brains of the operation, and doing the programming, the management, everything. So all the management stuff. So after I started working on this version of the game, I got married. Then I had 2 children. So it's like when I stop working, there's nothing going on, and it's like really hard to like negotiate with, if it's a publisher or even if it's just a company, like, okay, so now nothing is going to happen for a year.
True.
And then how is it going to work? So, and there have been a couple of like longer stretches of time when I didn't have enough time and resources to work on the project. And then we moved houses, and then the house had to be stripped down to the core and built up again. So, and we were doing it ourselves, so that as well took away some time.
I see.
Because like obviously, like it was like,
you kept yourself busy, we could say, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's hectic. Life is hectic. True. And I think if it's me, like, it's hard to navigate and negotiate all these, like, when are you working, when are you not, and it's like easier. It's like it's my own responsibility.
You're your
it's
own boss, yeah.
Funded by my husband. So say so. So
I see.
Yeah, it's just easier, simpler.
I see.
Let's say.
What about the future? What other games would you like to make, like to work on? Can you see yourself in the future make other games, or would you like to take a break after finishing this one?
No, yeah, definitely, because I take a break every other week, technically, because so in the, like I said in the beginning, I opened a bakery again. It's like home bakery. So now my schedule is like 1 week game dev, 1 week baking.
Okay.
So it's like always there's a bit of overlap, because sometimes it's quieter, sometimes I have more. I can.
So it's not full-time game dev and not full-time bakery, but half-time game dev and half-time bakery.
Yeah, kind of. So yeah. But I don't wanna take a break.
I see.
Because it's definitely, it's fun to do. It's more like, so the bakery bit is because I live in the UK and there's a lot of Hungarian people around who are missing the Hungarian cakes and stuff, and I've been baking for them.
Oh, okay.
Over the years, and then they said, "Oh, you should open a bakery because your cakes are great," and so I did. So, yeah, I just go to the market and sell like a couple of cakes that I bake in 1 week. So, but I do have more game ideas, in the drawer. But let's just finish this one first, and then we can think about like. If I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, then I can like think about prepping maybe for the next game, and then maybe for the next game I wouldn't rely on my husband to do finance the whole situation. Like I could probably let's see if we can do this better this time, because now I'm sort of like stuck in this like in between, like it is kind of working, but it is a lot of work, and it's like I said, for if there was 5 people working on it, it would have taken 1 year, but it's just one person, so it takes 5 years, so it's not ideal. And if I could find like at least an artist or an animator or someone to like join in and then take some of the load off me, because I can definitely do it on my own, but it's gonna take a lot of time. And it's because my kids are at the age that one is in school, the other is kind of, well, she's getting older, and like up until now. So the thing is that in the UK you don't have that much education or childcare support for the youngsters, for the really young ones, like as much as you do in Hungary. So it costs a lot of money to have small children. So now we're getting to that stage where she could go off to nursery, and it doesn't cost the entire house again just to send her to nursery. And so it's gonna allow me more time to work on the games, and yeah. But for the future, like it would definitely be better, I think, if like I wouldn't want like straight away hire 100 people, or like have one artist who's permanently working with me, so I don't have all the load on me. That would be nice, but I would need a publisher or more money, or start a company and blah blah blah. So it's a whole thing. Yeah.
I see. What kind of games would you like to make in the future, by the way, since you mentioned that you have a lot of ideas in the jar?
Yeah, it's all kind of like in the adventure game sort of area.
So you would stay close to
definitely like
games?
The story and narrative heavy, and yeah, I don't want to say too much.
Yeah, it's understandable. It's spoiler time. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, but it's like, yeah, I would definitely stay on this. In this genre.
Okay.
So maybe not point and click, but definitely adventure, like some sort of adventure game.
I see. Okay. Yeah. How do you balance time in your life to have time for everything? Since you mentioned at the very beginning, and we talked about it a lot, that you are doing a lot of things in your life, right? So you are a mother, you are a wife, you are making games, you have opened up the bakery. You're doing so many things. How do you balance the time for having time?
I don't sleep.
Sleep is for weak, right?
I don't sleep.
Okay.
Yeah. It's. I thought about it a couple of times. Like, if someone would ask me, would you recommend this lifestyle to anyone? Like, and no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't.
Honest.
It's
That's
really,
honest.
it's like, yeah, and sometimes like people ask me like, you do so many things. Like, how do you do? When do you sleep? Like, no, I don't. First of all, I don't sleep. That is. And it's like, yeah, I don't know. I just do. It's, I know that something needs doing, then I do it. And it's like you need to like sort of try to have like a round robin approach to everything. Like, okay, like do a little housework. Okay, it's
True.
you know, like we have the schedule, like when the kids go to school, when you need to pick them up, when you need to they go to like after school stuff. I know when I need to start. You know, I have the little schedule. Like I need to start baking on this day. Okay, let's. I do have like I do, even though it's just me, I do like sort of proper like project managing stuff. So I do have used to be TFS, but it's now called something else, which I don't care to remember even, but it's the Microsoft built-in stuff for their agile and scrum thing. So I do have like my little stories broken down to tasks. So I do the thing as if it was a team and everything. So it helps me because now I know that okay, this is the work that needs doing. Do I have some time to do something else? If I do, then yeah. If I know that okay, this week is really busy with other stuff, so I can just I need to like put these couple of tasks for later. So there's a lot of like project managing and time managing going into this scheduling, to say so to say.
I see.
Yeah.
Since you mentioned with honesty that you would not recommend your lifestyle to others, why have you choose this lifestyle? Were this lifestyle always there in your life, or it became your lifestyle at a later date in your life?
It's more like, you know, it's the I didn't choose the thug life. The thug life chose me. Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, it chose me. No, but I think it's genetically coded in me because my grandmother, she's over 80 years old, and she's still like she gets up in the morning, she does she sweeps
I see.
you know, that she's always like doing this and doing that, and you cannot, even though she's like she's old and she has like her legs are tired, her hands are as they used to be, and still she gets up. You cannot sit the woman down for like 5 minutes. She always has to like this needs to get done, and that needs to get done, and now someone comes over, and then I'm them, and then have a chat. So she's like all over the place, even though she's like, even when she's tired and everything, it's like you cannot sit her down for like 5 minutes. And I think that I've got this, like, I cannot sit still, and then unless it's like, okay, now I want to just chill and game or something, but there's always like, okay, something needs to get done. So
yeah, stop playing
immediately. It's part like part of it is like I can sit still on my bum, and the other part is that there's 100 million things that needs to get done, like, you know, the housework, cleaning up after the kids, because they're children, they're gonna be, house is always gonna be messy, so there's always something to do. So it's like, yeah, and I do sort of, because I started running and working, so I do work out as well, so I need to fit that into my schedule. My husband also works out, so now we need to balance it with who is taking the kids to school, who's going to work out, when are we going to do that, so that everything is running smoothly. But it's like I love that life is busy, but it doesn't, sometimes I get like, sometimes maybe I misjudge how much time some things would need to be done. And it's just like I think that I can do a million things at once, and I can't. Or I can, but then it's gonna be late in the night when I finish, so I don't have enough time to sleep. But it's like I like this style of lifestyle because the one thing with me is that I can never decide like what I want to be. Like there's so many things that I want to do.
I can relate to
and
that,
there's like you only have like this much time to do stuff.
Yeah, I can
And
relate to
it's
that.
impossible to fit everything into. And
Yeah.
I try.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting that there is a quote or saying that people who are like involved in many things, they end up not being the best in that one thing. But I don't agree with that because I feel like it's rather, at least from my experience in life, I feel like it's better to stay like and get involved with a lot of things that you feel that you would like to do and you feel talented in, rather than just doing one thing and be the best in it. Because I've seen a lot of people being best at their work or at their passion projects at getting burned out at their like 30s or 40s because they couldn't do anything other than that, right? And they ended up like, hey, what should I do next? Because I'm at my top and I don't know what to do else. So it's a balance between these type of lifestyles. I feel like.
Yeah, but there's a saying, you know, for that, like how is it? Jack of all trades, master of none, but oftentimes better than the master of one.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
True, very true, very true.
I didn't know the second half of this saying. I only learned about it for like a couple of months ago. It's like, hey, it's an entirely different spin.
Very true, very true, very true. Does your grandparents, by the way, know? Sorry for interrupting. Does your grandparents know that your game has stories with them and some memories? Does they?
Probably not.
Oh, okay.
No.
You should tell them. You should tell them. Hey, you should tell them after this interview, right?
Well,
after this
interview. I only have one grandma left alive, but it's like she's. I don't think that she knows, like, in terms of technology, like she nods to everything, but I don't think she really like understands the new technology stuff. Okay. Like she sees that, oh, it's nice, it's cartoons or something, or that I've been on TV, yeah, but she doesn't really know like what was this about this game and what the whole thing is. So there's like this generational gap in regarding technology. Like, what the hell are you doing?
True, but I'm sure that she would be happy to hear that you are making a craft and your memories with her and
she knows. She just I'm not sure she fully grasps what it means that it's a video game and then people play it and then.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
From the in-laws, I usually get a question. So, are you still working on the cartoon? It's not a cartoon, it's a game, but.
Okay. But at least she remembers, right?
But yes, I am still working on that.
True.
That's the important thing.
True. We touched here a lot of topics, by the way, and before I will go into some more questions, is there anything that you would like to mention or that we did not talk about during our conversation?
I think we sort of covered. Yeah, we covered a lot of things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you down to go into some chat-oriented questions as well?
Okay.
Let us know, ladies and gentlemen, if there is any question. Let us know. Oh, let me figure out the chat. I will also include the Steam page of the game because I did that on.
Okay.
In Discord, but I will do it here as well. Okay.
By the way, a lot of stuff like the website and the Steam page is really, really out of date. I need to update a couple of things here and there.
It is okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let us know if there is any question. By the way, let us know. Okay. Hölgyek, urak, bármilyen kérdés? Any questions? Let us know. While we are waiting for questions, by the way, I have one. So you mentioned that you still play video games. How your perspective as a player changed? Because we talked about how your perspective changed in other territories of your own life from being a game developer, but how your player perspective changed now that you are making games and not just play them. If there were any changes, of course.
I don't think that it changed at all. It's more like I am incorporating all of my views as a gamer into like a game dev, because I think it's very useful to like think about the gamers, that it's not just that I think this is a game that's going to work, or this mechanic will work like that, but you also have to think of the gamers. You like, would people enjoy playing this? Or would they think of this? Do I like I mentioned? Do I give enough hints so that they can figure out the puzzles and things like that? So it's more like the other way around. Like I have been gaming for a long time. As a gamer, it changed me in any way, but I think it's definitely beneficial for a game dev to think about the players' perspective when they are developing a game.
I see. Also, since you mentioned that you do so many things in your life, are you getting influenced by all those things too, and put those influences into other things you do in life? Like, for example, being at your bakery store. Do you get influenced by being at the bakery store when it comes to making video games, or vice versa?
Yeah, it's probably the other way. Oh, maybe it is. Maybe it is both ways.
Okay.
But like, because I do cakes. I like thematic games, like thematic cakes. Like the other week, there was a birthday party, and the birthday boy's favorite game is Castle Crashers.
Okay.
And his favorite was Grey Knight, and so I made a cake that was shaped like Grey Knight.
Oh, okay.
So it was definitely. I wanted to do some Minecraft stuff because so I wanted to like little cakes, sort of like not cupcakes, but like little cubes, like made out of sponge and cream, and then cover them and then make them into like shape like a Minecraft cube.
Okay.
Or the blocks. That didn't go too well though, but
experimenting, right? So
yeah. I've made Kirby.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, that's your wall as well. All the characters.
Yeah,
it's nice. Very nice.
It's actually my daughter's room.
Nice, very nice.
I'm sitting in, but I've made that as well.
Maybe she will be your artist, right? After a couple of years.
Yeah, she has. She's actually quite talented. Yeah. She's a really talented artist. Like compared to your age, she's drawing like really cool cartoon characters, and she's also a gamer, so she's
nice.
She's into Minecraft and Roblox.
That was honest again. Okay.
Yeah. So we need to listen to "It's Raining Tacos" for like 5-6 times yesterday.
Kids, yeah. Okay. Since you mentioned, by the way, going back to the topic of working with others, do you believe in perfect synergy between people working together, or is it something that develops out through the process of working together, or is it a mix of both? When you worked with others on your game?
It's hard to say. I think sometimes the people just click, and then there's this mutual understanding, and it's really cool. But like working together, with some there was definitely there's the click in the beginning, and that understanding in between us. But it's not. Like it was kind of different with the different artists, because with one we worked for a long time together, and we sort of shaped the characters together, or the brief of the concept arts like nearly on a daily basis. And for the other one, I just had to like write out one brief, and then he would do it and it was perfectly fine for them. It didn't need any adjustments or anything. And then for some, we had to like go back and forth. So it really depends on the person, but also it depends on how much you interact with them on a daily or weekly basis. It's like obviously you can't really form a connection with people if you don't talk that often.
True, it's true. Yeah. It takes time again, and it could take the time away from the actual game dev, right? If you're not making those connections, or if you do. Yeah, I agree on that. Yeah. What would be the message, by the way, of your game that you would like to have it's there for the players? Because I believe that all creators put their own messages into the craft they make and they intend to put in front of the consumers, let's say. What would be that exact message that you always wanted to give to the players?
It's quite complicated.
Okay.
Oh.
I'm listening. I'm all ears.
So I couldn't... I can't probably like squish it into like just one message, but there's a couple of things like in our game. There's the most of the fairy tales are sort of like guidance to like young people and as well as adults. Like you were given some situation and it's obviously it's fairy tale, so it's not like a real situation, but it's like a moral metaphor teaching. Something. Yeah, but it's like it could be a metaphor for something in real life, which as the kid interprets as like the dragon and then fighting and stuff, but the adults interpret as like I don't know, some mental illness or something. So it could be like
or a dickhead
layers. yeah, it could be. Yeah, so but the thing is that with fairy tales or folk tales, you usually have like one tale is about one specific thing and one specific message, but with in Behind the Beyond there's going to be like every little quest is its own tale on its own. So there are like many different messages and different morals of the story at the end. But also I like to give the players the option where I can, of course, up to a point, because you need to like balance in between, having the player having the agency to pick for themselves how they want to go in the story, but you also don't want infinite content. So you can't let them do literally everything in a narrative-based.
True, that would
like
make
on a
sense.
heavy game. So
true.
So yeah, but I'd like to. I really like the. That if as a player, if I can make meaningful choices, and I really really hate it when it's a game poses like, oh, this is an important choice, and then it ends up it doesn't really matter which one you pick, because it's gonna be the same ending anyways. So it's just. Yeah, that's quite disappointing. So to me as a player, so I'd like to avoid those things. But I really would love to give the players agency so they can do their own stuff.
I see.
Basically.
I see.
Which is really hard in like a point-and-click adventure.
True. But you might end up doing these kind of games like Quantic Dream did, right? So they are basically story-oriented adventure games, we could say, and there are more choices to the story, to the whole plot. Yeah. Okay. With all that knowledge, by the way, in your bag, what would be your advice for other developers?
For what? Sorry.
So what would be your advice to other developers with all that knowledge in your bag now, for all those years that you...
Just in general, or
any kind of advice, any kind of advice, yeah, that you,
for the
you
developers?
can think of.
I'm thinking.
It's okay.
I'm thinking. I think it's a little early to like draw conclusions. Like,
okay,
if it was like advice to my previous, or
we can do that as well. I'm good with that too.
Maybe.
Okay.
It's more like trust your instincts, because there were a lot of times when I thought I had a feeling that this was the right way to go, and then I let myself be convinced that
you mentioned that you listen to other voices,
and yeah, it's like, and every time I listen to the not just listen to anyone, but listen to the advice that was going against my feeling or my where I would have gone by myself, it always turned out that it wasn't the way. Maybe it would have been the way for them, but it wasn't the way for me.
I see.
So it's, or maybe that's the, maybe that is my advice to others. Like, but you have to, it's like,
you have to be that stubborn, I guess, right? To,
it's not just that, but you need to like find your own voice and your own way, because sometimes, you know, listening to others is beneficial, and listening to others, listen to the advice, but listening to the advice doesn't mean that you must implement everything that they say. So it might, because a lot of times, yeah, it's valid advice and it might have worked for them, but it might be something different that works for you.
Very true. I always say this, and that it's killing the industry, by the way. Sorry for interrupting you. It's killing the whole video game industry. That's a lot of developers are like on this path of like listening too much to the player's perspective, because player's voice has got into that high point because of the power of the internet now, and the media outlets like magazines and streamer voices as well, that they push back the developers, right? And developers will most of the devs will feel like they have to listen to the players, unless they will end up having a flop game, which is not true in my opinion, because like, if you're a creative person, you should stay true to your vision rather than listening to the players. And a lot of games ended up being a flop, in my opinion, at least, because devs listen too much to the players, right? Especially in multiplayer games, it's true that they listen too much to the crying people, and they end up having all those choices which are not good for the game. And it's true for story-oriented games.
Yeah, but sometimes the players are right.
Sometimes, yeah, but not mostly.
It's really hard. Yeah, it's hard to like, you need, but you need to find that the differentiate between the good advice and the whining or the bad advice.
True.
Because like sometimes it does make sense. So like, just because sometimes people also want to stick to their ideas or their plans, even when it doesn't make much sense anymore. But just because they work for so long on that project, they've spent so much time and energy on something that they don't want to change, because then they feel that all this time was just going to waste. But it's not true, because if you keep going in the wrong direction, then you're just gonna make it even worse, instead of taking the turn which would have taken you to the right path instead. So, but it's hard to. But again, yeah, it's like, you shouldn't just blindly listen to anyone's advice because you think that they are or they are like more critically acclaimed person or have more experience. True. It could be like, you know, in different settings, like something that works for a AAA company doesn't work for an indie. It's just,
or vice versa.
That's just not how it. Yeah.
Yeah, very true.
So you always need to like be honest with yourself. No, honest. I know what you're thinking. I am on it. No, you're not. Be honest with yourself, with your timings, your budgets, and everything, and you know, and then you'll probably see if that advice that you've been giving is going to work for you or not.
Do you regret, by the way, that you listened too much to others' voices during game development at the first time?
Sometimes, yeah, but I guess it's like, it's a learning curve, like with everything else. Like, you have to, like, even in the, I think it's kind of the same with everything, that you need to learn how to, you know, like, find your own way, find your own voice, and be, you know, more confident with yourself and your choices and everything. And it comes with more experience and more knowledge. So when you start out, you don't really know if this is going to work out for you or not. Yeah. So you need to go somewhere. You need to start somewhere, and you probably go pick the wrong path a couple of times. But it's fine to track back and then go the right way. It's fine. You just need to be sensible, reasonable.
True.
And not blindly follow others because just what they say.
True, very true. Thank you, by the way. Thank you for your honesty about every topics and everything that we talked here about. Is there anything, by the way, that you would like to mention at this ending sequence of our conversation? Anything that we might have missed talking about or touching as a topic?
Someone asked me today when the game is going to be out.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Not even a year plans? Not even a year or
Yeah, I know. I think so. The plan is kind of so the whole story is split up into 3 parts, and part 1 is kind of coming to an end because now I have finished putting all the scenes together. So the scenes are there. It's just all the rest of the content needs to be in place. So the map for part 1 is complete. Ta-da! All the features are there and everything. So we just need to go and add the missing content, and then part 1 is going to be done and get play tested and whatever. And then we're gonna do the voiceovers, and then we're gonna do the Hungarian voiceovers. So if I have to take a wild guess, maybe towards the end of the year we might go into early access. So then you could play part 1 in early access, which would be nice. I'm not promising the Hungarian voiceover just yet because it takes a lot of extra time, because first we need to do the English one, have the playtest, blah blah blah, and once that is done, then we move into the Hungarian. So it will come a little later probably, just because it's easier and it costs us less money if we find the bugs first in the English version, and we don't have to fix the same things with the voiceover especially, and fix the same things in Hungarian as well. But yeah, so there is a chance that maybe towards the end of the year we would be in early access.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank
you.
That's like the biggest news lately.
Spoiler time, we could say so. Thank you. And everyone, don't forget to wishlist Behind the Beyond, right, on Steam, and hopefully we will see the first chapter.
And wishlist and follow and subscribe.
True. Everything.
On YouTube, on Discord, on X, Instagram, Facebook. Just look for Sugar Punch Games and Behind the Beyond. It's all there. And I started doing little snippets, little updates at the end of every month, so you could see how the progress is going, what's been done, what's coming next. And it's bite size, so it's shorts and reels sort of length, so it's in a minute and a half, so you don't have to you can watch it while you're sitting on the toilet, whatever. It's that length.
Love that. Okay, thank you, by the way. Thank you for your time, Kate. Thank you. And thanks everyone who joined us for today's streamed version, or will be watching back the VOD on Twitch and on YouTube. We will have, of course, a Hungarian version at a later date, hopefully this month or next month, we will see. And like I said, I will need some more of your minutes of stream, but for those who were with us today, thanks for watching. Don't forget to wishlist Behind the Beyond on Steam. Be on the lookout for the first part of the game, maybe the end of the year, like Kate said. And thank you for joining us for today's episode, everyone. Have a great day or evening.